Hi there, I'm Steve Willems. Today I'm sitting down with Randy Dyck of Eximus real estate team to talk about what's been going on in this crazy real estate market here in Abbotsford and abroad. You won't want to miss it. So Randy, great to have you here. Really excited for kind of putting a little bit of meat on the bone with what we've been hearing. The real estate market just around town here. It seems like I had a house for sale on my street. The sign went up. 3 days later, the sold sticker was on there. I looked up the price that it sold for, and I was completely shocked. Is this an Abbotsford thing? Is this a BC thing? Like what's going on here right now?
Well, Steve, that's a great question. Is it an Abbotsford thing, or is it a Fraser Valley thing, or a Vancouver thing? It is actually a worldwide phenomenon right now. Markets all over the world are experiencing a lot of volume happening within the real estate market. And I speak with a lot of agents around North America, and every market is short on inventory and high on volume of sales. There's more buyers than they can handle. And so it's a common theme around the world, and especially in Canada right now, we're experiencing that even in markets that were one time that we thought was really slow, like for instance, Alberta. Edmonton and Calgary have both picked up significantly. So it's everywhere. It's happening everywhere.
So what's been in just from kind of 30 years of experience on your side to think over maybe and correct me if I'm wrong, like $1 billion of transaction volume. You've been through your fair share of homes. What would you say are the drivers of this most recent amount of volume and activity?
Great question. Drivers and influencers, they really affect the market. Influencers are those things that just come along and kind of push it a little bit up or down, but it's the drivers that give it the strength to carry on, month after month after month. And I would say the drivers right now are things like interest rates are so extremely low. That's really bringing a lot of people into the marketplace that wouldn't have been able to buy something in the past. So that is one factor that's really changed it. Another factor is inventory levels are so low, which is supply and demand game. So if supply is down, demand's high, that's pushing prices up. And it's almost like when you can't have something, you really want it even more. So that's bringing a lot of people to the marketplace that maybe weren't thinking about being in the marketplace before. Of course, we've all heard the COVID stories, people having the ability to work remotely and move into other areas of the country. And one of the things that's really driving that is not only the remote work, but the connectivity that is now available to us all. Elon Musk is throwing those satellites up in the sky, so everybody will be connected at some point anywhere in the wilderness. So that is driving a lot of business as well, as far as places like Abbotsford, Chilliwack, gosh, even Merritt, out in the sticks. There's so much activity happening that there just wasn't before. So that's another thing that's really driving us. And I would say, even as far as equity is concerned, there's so many people that have saved up a lot of money through COVID, highest saving rates on record, if my numbers are correct.
Yeah.
So that's also driving a lot of our business as well right now.
I guess on the supply side, there's maybe a lower supply, like you mentioned, just because of the uncertainty, right? Like people to free up a detached home, you've got to move somewhere else. And maybe this is just a market where I'm not too sure if I want to move into a care home, right? And free up a home for someone else. Is that kind of part of the supply issue?
Yeah, that is part of it. I would also say that part of it is that not everybody's comfortable having people in their homes now. So there's a lot of people, especially I would say in the single family market, where our clients are retired or a little bit more elderly. They're going, I just don't want people in my home. So they're not bringing their homes to market, which is causing a bit of a shortage as well in the marketplace. So yeah, there's that combination happening, no doubt.
So I wanted to just take some time just to hit kind of three types of people that might be watching this video, and just talk about what are the opportunities that might present to each of these groups, and what things might this group want to think about, right? So let's say you're in your 70s, your 80s, you're thinking about a downsize from your detached home, let's say in Abbotsford. What should that person be thinking about in terms of opportunities or risks as it presents itself in this kind of crazy climate right now?
Yeah, the market, if you go to market, it moves so quickly. And, in often cases, you don't have time to really think about where you're going to make that move. So I would really encourage people that are thinking about downsizing, or maybe I should call it right sizing, is probably the best word. Right sizing is to really think about where you're going to go and plan that out. That's almost step number one. Where am I going to go? Because we know if we put your home in the market, it's probably going to sell in 7 to 10 days. So plan ahead. Where are you going to go? And I would think most of your clients are in the position where they may be able to afford buying that next place before they sell. So I would encourage that. That just makes for an easier, smoother move. And that transition just works so much better. So plan ahead, know where you're going. And there's some exceptional values as you look to downsize. The condo market really hasn't picked up like the single family.
Okay, so maybe a little less competition on the buy side of that transaction.
That's right, yeah. And also, I think there's a bigger gap equity-wise between that. Now, I do see the values in condos starting to rise as fast as the single family home. So now would be a great time to be thinking about securing that next place, if that's a condo or even a townhouse. But the townhouse market has really picked up as well. So significant value from single family or even townhouse to a condo.
And what about those who might own real estate as investments? In the past, you were able to buy a property and fancy that it would produce a cash flow, right? Looking locally here, I don't. The last time I looked at those numbers, they seem to be nearly impossible to find. Maybe you would know of a handful still, but how does this affect kind of real estate investors?
Well, cash flow is harder to find, but there's still ways to find cash flow. Some of the smarter money is moving to other locations where cash flow is a little bit easier. But if you're currently in the marketplace with an investment property, and depending on what your long-term, short-term goals are, this would be an excellent time to be selling that property if that's part of your plan. The market is just anxious and ready for those kind of properties. And even though they're not cash flowing, investors are still picking them up faster than ever. And part of that reason is the money's not worth anything in the bank. It's a depreciating asset sitting in the bank. It's an appreciating asset sitting in real estate. So think of that. That's an important way to look at it.
Right. Yeah, certainly something that we find that there was a psychological change when their savings at the bank in a GIC no longer produced a return that started with 1. When the first number was 0 point something, that became essentially 0, right? So
yeah.
So let's talk about then the other segments. So we've got the downsizers, we've got those that have real estate properties for investment purposes, and then we've got another group here that are maybe the kids of our clients or our younger clients who are looking to maybe upsize, right? Growing family, get into the market at all. I mean, I can't imagine the stress, the burden that would feel. I've only ever bought in a balanced market personally, and those were significant decisions for my wife and I, even in a balanced market. So I can't even imagine what it would be like here today. What would you give as advice to those folks?
Yeah, great question. Demographics play such an important role in this decision making, and the millennials are such a large group. They're coming up. I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on this group to get into the marketplace if they're not in the marketplace. So I see that putting even more pressure on prices, especially for that type of buyer. We have to remember, when the market moves like this, every month that you're sitting on the sidelines is putting you, farther and farther behind. And then, there may be some rate increases that will also make that a little bit more challenging. So as challenging as it is buying in this marketplace, in this hot seller's market where there's multiple offers, I'd still stay the course and make sure that if it's the right property, be bullish about it and see if you can't get in. However, there's always a however, right? In saying that, I feel that our market will take a little bit of a breather. It's almost like a plane, as it's taking off. We've been in this takeoff mode for so long, and we've been climbing at a very, very steep rate. But when we get to climbing altitude, or when we get to, cruising altitude, it kind of settles in and kind of, we settle in and look for clean air to fly in. I feel that the market will be doing a bit of this in the months to come, where we'll take a little bit of that heat out of the market. We'll see less multiple offers and more of an opportunity for those new buyers entering the marketplace, or those buyers moving up because of need for more bedrooms or so forth. So when that happens, we're not going to see as many multiples, which will mean that you may not have to pay as much. You'll be able to pay closer to the list, or maybe the list price. Wouldn't that be a phenomenal thing to happen? So
I guess on top of that too would be this idea of the fear and the greed cycle as well, right?
Yes. Yeah. Remember, greed kind of takes over, and we think that we need more and more and more. And I often advise my clients, remember, let's celebrate the win. We've had an amazing win. That little bit extra that you think you need may not be as important as just making sure that we've got the security of knowing where we're going, when we're going, and how we're going.
Right. Well, thanks for the time today here, Randy. Certainly appreciate your words of advice.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it.
Cheers.